So step right up. Step right up. We don't need a soapbox, you'll just listen up. You'll enjoy the show. Step right up. Step right up. We don't need a soapbox, you'll just listen up. You'll enjoy the show.
You're listening to the CVC podcast, a humorous look at matters of faith and culture.
Okay, so welcome to the CVC podcast. Today on the show, we've got Nick.
Hello.
And we've got Ashley. We finally have a female voice.
Go team.
Yeah.
It's about time.
And I'm Britton. So, yeah, yay us.
Yay us.
Yay us. Guys, this week there was an article in Christian Today that politician turned preacher Hillary Clinton prepares to finally come out as a Christian leader. So, I guess the murders don't count. So
she's been forgiven.
But the apostle Paul murdered a lot of people. So I guess it's
that was pre-conversion. Is this post-conversion?
I think it is.
Is this just a different attempt at power?
It might be. My cynical side says yes. That is exactly what this is. I think, but okay. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I'm going to for at least 5 seconds. For 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt that she's got something good to say. She's got something positive, and she cares about people. And so great. I guess let her do whatever she's going to do. As it stands, apparently she's from a Methodist tradition, not a Mexican tradition, a Methodist tradition. And the guy in the article is talking about, like, yeah, she probably won't go to seminary and she's not going to, like, pastor a church, but she's just going to occasionally show up places and deliver sermons, which sermons and political speeches aren't that much different, are they?
No, not really.
But Hillary Clinton's the one person that whole women should not be permitted to speak line should apply to. But only her. Only her.
So
her and her daughter. That was the only. That's it.
Yeah, so this is not for such a time as Clinton. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, well, I do know how I feel about it. If someone who's been in one kind of public light just suddenly says, "Hey, I'm a Christian," good. I'm happy for them.
Right.
You know, Justin Bieber just recently was talking about his conversion to Christianity, and I think Jim Carrey. Some people were telling me that Jim Carrey converted to Christianity. So good, very good for them. That being said, I don't think those guys, or in this case, Hillary Clinton, needs to come out and become Pastor Hillary.
I'd like to see, maybe more than 5 minutes of her practicing the faith before she decides to start leading it. I think it's kind of like one of those things where you gotta prove yourself to me in some way before I'm gonna be on that train.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I feel like she needs to have shown us something, and maybe she has. Maybe she's kept her faith in the secret from the limelight from her politics in order to keep religion out of her politics. And if that's the case,
she does have a public opinion and a private opinion,
right?
But to go from one world leader to stepping into a spiritual leader, I think is kind of dangerous. Whether she's a pastor over a group or not, I feel like she's going to have a following, and that's why I kind of made the comment about power earlier. It's, she lost the presidential election, and now is she just trying to get whatever people she had to continue to
I mean, if she's legitimate, I mean, it might be a good Christian voice for the left, because all we've got right now is Rob Bell. So, but what I don't want is ABC primetime showing up and saying things like, hey, America's new pastor, because that's obviously Oprah Winfrey's job.
No, I thought that was Joel Osteen's.
Joel Osteen, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Speaking of Joel, I don't know anyone who likes him.
Except for the thousands of people that show up to his
thousands of
church
people. I mean,
Sunday.
personally.
No,
I don't know anybody.
I
that
don't. I don't have the problem with him that a lot of people have with him, but I don't know, man. He takes a lot of flack.
He does.
He takes a lot of flack, and like any time that I know of a preacher that is, they're complaining about TV preachers, his name comes up. Like there's like 4 others that would come up for me first. But
does he take flack because of what he says, or does he take flack because of how he says it? Because for me, the reason I don't like him is he comes off as very sort of fake, and that's why I can't get behind that camp. So I've never actually listened to the guy because I can't get past the way he speaks.
A lot of people
that
think
big
he's too
cheesy
weak.
grin.
Yeah, they think he's weak. Do you think he's weak?
I think he's fake.
I mean,
I
he's fake.
can't get past the big cheesy grin. No matter who's hurt you,
You said
Jesus
weak?
loves you, and
Yeah.
which is true. Like none of that is wrong. It's
He
just,
offers a lot of inspiration.
He does.
Okay, but I think Christianity might be codependent on inspiration. Think about it. All of ours. Well, I mean,
Maybe modern Christianity.
yeah.
Like we like the sound bites of inspiration.
Yeah, we
and
like our quotes. We like our music.
Yeah, we like our Facebook posts that are just those
It's
inspirational. Yeah.
You don't hear anyone else talking about that. They talk about hope a lot, but I don't know. It just bothers me, guys. There was a woman who was dead for 23 hours, and she went to hell. And there she saw Michael Jackson and Pope John Paul II.
I assume she saw Michael Jackson down there because he was bad.
And then,
You know it. You know.
Shimon. Yeah, he was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then she resurrected, I guess, is how the story's going.
Which she resurrected, or she was revived?
she came revived. I'm sorry, I was using church language again.
Resurrected sounds like of her own volition.
She resurrected herself to tell us about who was in hell, which is apparently Michael Jackson and Pope John Paul II. Like, I don't know.
Why Pope John Paul II though?
Why- yeah.
Why would we think he'd be down
Maybe
there?
it's the Pope she recognized. Assuming there was more than one Pope down there. That's not right at all. I'm cutting that part out.
Hey, if you believe some of what those people say, they're all down there because
Right.
what is it, the 7 hills and the 7 this and all that stuff pointing to the rapture.
The last thing the CVC podcast needs is the Catholic Coalition coming in and saying,
Yeah, they're just gonna do calisthenics to us.
"Hey, don't make fun of the liturgy, buddy."
Look, I went to a Catholic service once, and I hated it because I did exercise. Let's put it that way.
Right.
My one experience with the Catholic service was they brought the babies up to do baby baptism, whatever, and they prayed a prayer of exorcism over them, and one of the babies did not stop screaming. I was like, this can't fare well.
Man, here's what I want to know. Do you guys believe that people go to hell and then come back and tell us about it?
I don't know.
I sometimes question the existence of hell as a place for people.
Yeah.
Like if it's because it says it's created for Satan, what is it, Lucifer and his angels? Mm-hmm. Does that include people, or do those people who die that were not saved just die and cease to exist? Maybe they're ghosts.
A lot of Christian pastors would say the hell's full of people. And then there's some who say no, and then there's some who say we'll all figure it out somehow.
Well, yeah, we're gonna figure it out at some point.
So I
tend to believe in hell as a legit place, legit thing, but I mean, I guess if you believe in the afterlife as like the 7 minutes people die and go to heaven and then come back to tell their experiences. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't there be people who go to hell and get their experiences
Well,
shown?
I guess same question. Do you believe that
I don't know
happens
that I
either?
believe that either.
Yeah.
I tend to
I think
have a
people
lot
can
of
have some
skepticism toward
wild. Yeah, I've got a lot of skepticism for it because, well, one, no story is the same, and then it's always a catalyst for a bunch of book sales and movies.
true.
So
You'd think hell would be consistent.
yeah, you think it would either heaven or hell, either one. They should be consistent.
But
And-
what kind of... My thing is there never really, like, details.
Yeah,
Other than, like, oh, I saw this person and this person. I mean, I didn't really get to read the article, but I want to know, like, specific details. Was it just fire and agony? Was it, like,
Yeah.
a giant gory cityscape? Like, I don't know.
I
wanna-
guess.
was Adolf Hitler there?
Was Hitler there? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answers, but it just my knee jerk reaction is like, oh great, we got another one. That's
Right.
That's my reaction.
Right.
Man. So guys, we've been talking about and lady. Sorry.
Gender neutral here.
Gender
Yeah.
neutral.
I'm sorry.
Did you just assume?
I'm trying to be radically inclusive of everyone. Okay, so if you've been listening to the past few episodes, you know that I have always complained that there's not a good outlet for Christian art. So I decided to give PureFlix a try. So this week I gave them my credit card number,
Dun dun dun.
and they hooked me up with a free month. It's not just for me specially; they'll do that for any of you. But the price is $10.99 a month. So I just wanted to check it out, see how it goes, and to see if there's anything there that I'm not looking for. Get them saved in every movie or something like that. Although that's there. What I'm looking for is something like an outlet for good Christian film. And I wanted to see if it exists. So I did the thing. And first off, let's talk about the things that they can control. Good quality. Good.
Okay.
It was crisp. Except for when I could tell they just took a DVD rip of something that was old. Yeah, and they didn't even bother de-interlacing it.
Oh.
Which, I don't know if you know what that is.
I don't know.
No, he does. But,
I can piece
I
together
could
what it is.
see the lines that were... so that part bothered me. But, overall, it's $10.99 a month. What is Netflix now?
I think it's the same.
Okay.
I don't know.
They're there at the same time. The player... It could do more. The reason I say that is, on Netflix, when you say, hey, back to browsing, I'm done watching this. No, you got to hit the back button on your browser. I know that's a little thing. But,
Does it skip the intros and everything like Netflix does?
Well, here's the thing with their series is they don't really seem to have complete series. It's like they would have like 5 or 6 episodes of a series. So from the ones I've been trying to watch so far, I mean...
Do they start in the middle, or do they at least give you the first couple and then maybe the budget for that series is gone?
Yeah.
They never made the rest of it.
Some of these are like TV shows that we would know that because they have a lot of stuff from the 50s and 60s and like really old stuff. So
because those were cleaner than what they are now.
those are clean. But if they know, all I know is when I listen to. All I know is that my mom wasn't allowed to watch that stuff when she was a kid.
Right.
Oh.
So, it is what it is. So here's the thing. I kind of broke it down into my own breakout because, they're going to say Christian films, Westerns, all that kind of stuff. Here's where I'm going with it. Here's what I found. I found Christian persecution films, rapture films, Little House on the Prairie-esque films and TV shows, Hallmark movies, not made by Hallmark though, but that kind of
Romance.
romance, cheesiness. My wife would love it, kind of thing, but I wouldn't like. So those weren't made for me.
With a tub of ice cream and
Yeah.
tissues.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
No,
I mean,
I'm not
it's what you like.
judging. I'm
There's
just saying.
hormones.
It's just not for me. Now, action movies like hilarious
You don't need
comedies.
hormones for a tub of ice
Yeah.
cream. Everybody wants ice cream.
There
And sad
are a
stories.
lot of stand-up comedy acts on there.
Really?
Yeah. Some of them are even funny.
I was gonna say like people like we would know or like mainstream.
No.
Like Shonda Pierce sort of Christian acts.
Could not find Shonda Pierce on there.
Brad
which-
Stein.
But do what?
Brad Stein.
I didn't see
Ooh,
Brad
I like
Stein.
him. Tim Hawkins.
Louis Anderson. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
Okay, Louis Anderson was hosting
Anderson.
like a PureFlix Christian comedy night or something like that.
Nice.
Weird.
But he's always worked clean.
Okay.
So yeah, he's never worked blue. So I don't know what his faith is, but not a bad choice. Has some facial recognition. Also, you got classic TV. Said that with 50 sitcoms, a lot of westerns, some children's programming, and here was the weird one. There was a lot of just plays on there.
Like
And low budget plays. Like there was a one-man show on John Wesley talking about it's very interesting church history. So there's a lot of church history in there. The problem is all of it was made in like the 70s and 80s. It's real corny.
the
and
plays were
like
made in
some
the
of
70s
the
and
plays, and then they did a couple of other things. Like they had a guy playing Paul in prison, and this one was for like 30 minutes or so, and it's pretty much him reciting Ephesians. It's like, I can read this. Like, let's give me.
Now I've thought of there's a couple of books that I'm like, you could stand up and just like quote this.
Yeah.
And it'd be a really good sermon and go sit down and people would be upset at you.
Well-
and you'd be like, well, it's scriptural.
Yeah, it's nothing but scripture. And that's what they did. That's what they did for
Which
this.
is
So,
impressive. It's like redoing Shakespeare.
yeah. I couldn't make it through it, though.
Really?
It just wasn't that interesting to watch. Because one old man, what you don't want is talking heads on television. Like
Especially if you're paying money for it.
Yeah. The reason why the CVC podcast is an audio podcast is because, like,
We're not attractive enough
well,
for cameras.
Speak
Ashley
for yourself.
is.
I will speak for myself.
Ashley's great. Me and you, we've
Yeah.
got problems. But,
Brown bag the episodes. The
Yeah.
brown bag episode.
which I'd be okay with that, or dressing up as clowns or something like that.
So just walking.
But I've thought before, maybe after this is recorded, I could go back and do sock puppets for the voices. That would be a lot more interesting than
you could
just
do do it like Canadians in South Park where they just and their little mouths are just up and
Yeah.
down. That's it.
yeah, do something like that. That might be okay. But yeah, just having the talking head sitting there wasn't that good. They have a night show called I don't think it's every night, but it's like PureFlix Tonight or something like that. Don't quote me on that.
So
but
it's kind of it streams like a TV show that's very similar to
yeah,
a late night show type of thing.
more like late night news,
Huh.
that kind of thing. So
700 Club type news or just.
it seems like 700 Club meets Culture versus Christian,
Okay.
but without the
That'd be
comedy. Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. I don't know what that makes us because
Did you just
yeah, I did it.
You
I
just
went with
dissed
it.
you
us.
just slam us without meaning to?
Self-deprecation. Is there anything new on this? Like, other than this late night show, are they adding new things?
I think they are, and content costs a lot of money either to produce it or to buy it, the rights to it. So, I don't expect it to be Netflix.
Right.
I would like to see some more up-to-date stuff. I would like to see some variations of stuff, but I understand it too that they've done market research and the people that they're looking for, and that they figure is probably going to be women who are going to buy into this and
or you're
subscribe
just
to
your
it.
hardcore, really strict
Yeah,
evangelical.
yeah, like strict
Strict,
dads.
like they don't have a television, but they can download
Yeah.
PureFlix and just watch it.
Did you watch God's Not Dead 2 on here?
I did. I
Okay,
did.
So that's relatively new.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that's a big thing.
Let's talk about God. Have you guys seen God's Not Dead too?
I
saw
haven't seen the
one.
first one.
Okay.
It didn't look. I saw the Duck Dynasty. Look, I like the Duck Dynasty guys, but I saw that they were in it, and I went, it's probably not going to be very good.
They weren't in it that much. My problem with the first one is it ended with the dude getting hit by a truck.
Yeah. But it was the guy who played Hercules, so
So
They
he
killed Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
killed Kevin
they killed-
Sorbo. in it.
Spoilers.
No.
He's a
You
dirty
didn't tell me
little.
he didn't pick it up and throw it.
And
No.
and the one time when they left something in, no, did he get saved at the end?
I don't remember.
can't
You'd have to
remember.
watch the movie to find out.
I have figured out that people love to watch Christians love to watch people get saved on film the way like people who like romantic comedies like to watch people kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that feel-good moment of nothing can go wrong after this point, even though everything goes wrong
will
after
go
that
wrong.
point.
Or that moment of like, finally, yay! You know, like, you know, when you've got 5 seasons of that sort of, what is it, X-Files romance where they never do anything. And you're like, come on, just do it, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, so that's what we're dealing with there. We get to God's Not Dead 2. And I shouldn't joke about cancer, but...
You're going to. He said, but he's going to.
In the first film, it's not that I'm making fun of people with cancer. That would be terrible. But they didn't have a plot that was strong enough to carry the film. So they had a lot of subplots.
Cancer was one of them?
They do that.
And one girl was like, went to the doctor and all of a sudden like, you've got cancer, you know? And the thing is, we're sitting there.
Was that the first one or the second one?
This is the first one.
Okay,
it was
the first one they did that.
The Cancer Girl's in the second one.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, I'll bring it back around. There's going to be spoilers here. I don't know if our listeners really care about that sort of thing, but just so on both movies. So this girl's in there like, oh, you've got cancer, and she's like, yeah. But the problem is, we were like, we were watching it, and it was just beat by beat. We knew what was going to happen next because it was so predictable, and the plots were so thin that. It was me and my wife and this kid that one of our friends, and I just kind of look over there like we all looked at the show like she's got cancer, don't she? Like you got cancer, and
I wish they would have said it like that in the movie.
You've got cancer.
You've got cancer.
Dun, dun.
And so we're sitting there just laughing our butts off, just like oh god, they which is it's not a funny moment in the film at all, and there are people weeping, and so we're laughing at. I'm a jerk. I'm just a big old honking jerk, and I understand my problems, and I'll repent later. But the problem that so all that was there. So same kind of thing, except this time, Cancer Girl was cured, and she called Michael Tate from Newsboys to tell him that she was cured. He's like, praise God.
He's like, I don't know you, but cool.
Yeah, he was like, no, he remembered her as part of the plot. So that was all in there, but she's like, no, I've got questions about about God. You're like, wait, you had this great redemptive moment. You were healed from cancer. Now you're like, I don't know if God's real. So
isn't that real life though? Don't we see that?
We see it a lot. And I don't know. I just wasn't buying it because she bought it. I don't know. I just wasn't. I get it happens all the time. I just didn't like it.
Pulls you out. Didn't convince you.
Yeah, that was it. It was just very unconvincing. So
give me that.
So. It goes on. The whole thing of the film is this teacher, played by Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah, Melissa Joan Hart.
See, I see her as Clarissa.
Clarissa explains it all.
Yeah. And
the funny thing for poor Clarissa there is she had nothing to do in the movie because it was all about her saying one thing wrong in class, and because she was a teacher, and they accused her of proselytizing in class, and then they drag her out to court, and she just sits in a courtroom quiet for the next 2 hours.
That's a shame.
That's the whole movie?
Pretty much. It's just a 2-hour movie of a court case with all these subplots peppered in and everyone. And then they set it up for a third one. But it's all Christian persecution. And it was unrealistic. I know we live in weird times when people of faith are really hated. But I don't know. I just wasn't buying any of it. I don't know.
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, it was a thin plot. I think they could have done better. Now, I don't blame PureFlix for this. I blame
God's
whoever.
Not Dead 2?
Yeah, I blame God's Not Dead 2. And get ready because they set it up for God's Not Dead 3 because one pastor wouldn't give his sermon transcripts to the authorities.
I think we understand that God's not dead by now.
Right.
I think, yeah. I mean, you'd think with a movie like that called God's Not Dead that they'd be at least trying to prove God, or it'd be more redemptive than just sitting in a courtroom for 2 hours or whatever. Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. It's based on the assumption that we're all either being persecuted or going to be. So there's not a whole lot you can do with that because as goofy as our country is sometimes, I've never felt persecuted. I don't even feel like I'm...
Not for Christianity.
Yeah, not for Christianity. Yeah. I've never even felt the threat of it.
I felt that outside of the Bible Belt every now and then, but
Okay.
not very often.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I try not to go outside.
I will say though that one thing I've noticed in movies and that kind of thing is that they always, if there is like a crazy religious element of anything, it is always Christianity though.
Yeah.
You never see a movie where somebody's like being like a kid or whatever is being reprimanded by their like crazy overzealous Jewish mother or Muslim father or whatever. It's always like, for instance, okay, so there's a show on USA that I started watching called The Sinner.
Yeah.
And it's got Jessica Biel in it, and she's the only name I recognized. But it's about a woman who is literally, she's on the beach with her family, and then just out of nowhere, she decides to get up and murder some dude. Like literally just walks up, just starts stabbing the guy.
that escalated quickly.
The only reason I wanted to watch it, this is going to sound really sick, but the only reason I wanted to watch it was because the
Jessica Biel?
tagline.
Oh.
Yes, but the tagline was, "This is the hardest thing to watch on TV," and I watched. And I went, not really.
Soulless
But-
monster.
I know, but that's what happens when you have the internet. But the whole premise is that she has a crazy, super Catholic mom who she has a sister who is brought home, and she's told that the sister has some disease or something, and she's told, if you do these things, your sister will not get better because God will not heal your sister. So
Wow.
like she has an aunt who gives her a chocolate bar, and she's like, I'm gonna keep this chocolate bar, kid stuff, and I'm gonna put it away, and I'm gonna eat it one day. And her mom finds it and goes, you have to bury that in the yard. And it's stuff like that makes God not heal your sister. And I'm like, why is it always the crazy Christian people that they always go after in these things?
God, I have an
like
idea.
the water boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foosball's the devil.
Everything's of the
I have a
devil.
feeling you know why, because I think whoever wrote it, they're writing from what they know.
True.
And have you ever taken
I
it
think
like
it came from a book series, so I don't know who the original or a book. So I don't know who the original author is, but they adapted it. It's an interesting show. The whole premise of the show is for figuring out why she did it, because she doesn't even really know.
What's the name of this?
The Sinner.
The Sinner.
If you have the free channel, it's on there.
Okay.
That's where I watched it. I'm not paying for it.
Yeah, I've seen. I think a lot of the guys who are writing out in Hollywood, they've probably came up on a lot of weird Christian folk in their own family or something like that, because
that's not
they
to
write
say-
them well and realistic sometimes.
Yeah, that's not to say they're not out there. I'm not saying
and
that.
then some of them are written from anger.
But yeah.
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 I mean,
feel like-
as a Christian, I've met those people, and you're
Yeah.
like, I don't really want to be around you because you're not showing anything of
No.
Christ
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
this
just
is
going to have to not even agree to disagree. We're just going to have to
are-
walk away.
religiously challenged.
Sorry, sis. I'm going to eat this chocolate bar.
Yeah, I have to say religiously challenged now.
And all of those people are usually uneducated. Like the ones that are
Yeah, I'll
preaching
give you
those
that.
things, they're completely uneducated and they're going off of what someone has told them. And they just or they take one piece of scripture and they run with it and they're like, this is mine and we're going to claim it until it becomes true. And they hurt and do persecute people, and there's no
Yeah.
reason.
I think
or
some of that can,
no wonder why they're
I think
persecuted.
some of that can be brainwashing too, or
Yeah.
feeling part of an identity and pushing an ideology or whatever. Segue.
I feel like we there's something we should have been talking about all along here.
Like some event or
Yeah,
something, like
like
something
something
big
big
that happened
happened.
over the weekend.
Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Charlottesville.
There you
That's what
go.
we were forgetting. I don't know if they're going to buy that. We
We
forgot
did
that or
forget
not.
about that.
We held that to the end on purpose.
Yeah. Okay, everyone. We've got to do this. Okay, well, let's start off
Where to
by
begin?
by doing what we have to do, because it's not obvious to everybody.
Yeah.
We here at the CVC podcast condemn white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and
Antifa
and-
and socialism and communism.
No. We
Oh,
can't.
sorry.
No,
Sorry,
we
that's
don't
me.
condemn them
That's
yet.
me. That's me.
We don't condemn
That's
them
me.
yet. But just as a whole, any racist group, any white supremacist group, we absolutely condemn them. We think racism's terrible. And I know you think I sound sarcastic. I'm not. We hate that stuff.
100% honesty on that one.
Yeah.
100% honesty. There's no irony in my voice. We hate all that stuff. The problem is, and here's the big but, everyone's forcing everyone to take a side, and apparently everybody only thinks there's two sides.
Yeah.
You can either be Nazi or Antifa.
See, that's the thing. They called the other side not Nazis. You know?
Right.
And it was like, oh, yeah, but they're Antifa.
Right.
Can we please, come on.
You
They're the same thing.
have two extremist groups going at each
They're
other.
both
Yeah.
socialists.
They were
Right.
protesting against each other.
Right. And they were both armed.
Yeah.
So I hate racism, but I can't get on Team Antifa because they're not fighting for anything anyone's going to jump on board with. We can agree on how bad things are and how bad white supremacist is, but geez, I don't know.
We talked about this earlier in our Facebook chat that my personal problem with Antifa is that both of the groups, right? I have issues with both of them. I don't like either group.
Right.
White supremacists, Nazis, whatever. And then you got Antifa, who are just terrible in general. But my problem with Antifa is that they, in comparison to the two, are hypocritical to they're just hypocritical about their movement because that's anti-fascist is what it is. But their whole form of not letting people have a platform by violence.
Yeah.
Did we all forget about Berkeley? Like, seriously.
Yeah, that was
You know,
crazy.
when, was it Milo decided to show up and have a speech and they shut it down by throwing crap and lighting fires? And, like, that's literal
Right.
fascism. And your movement's called anti-fascism. At least the Nazis aren't being hypocritical about what their movement is. White supremacy.
Yeah. I think, I try to come from a place of nonviolence. And I know a lot of people who try to come from a place of nonviolence, but they're justifying violence.
Yeah.
And they're pushing for their motive from a violent
Right.
perspective. They're not against it. They're like, yeah, you throw something at me, I'm throwing something at
Yeah.
you. Or I'm just going to throw something at you and
Yeah.
make you, I'm going to provoke you on
And to
purpose.
be honest, I think both of those sides wanted stuff thrown at them
They
so
did.
that
They
they
did.
could throw
They,
back.
they totally did.
Everybody came to fight. Now, Donald Trump wasn't the one who should have said that to the world because as a president, the only thing he should have said as the president is walk up, racism is terrible. All these groups shouldn't have done it. Rawr. That's all he should have
And he
done.
still would have
Right.
gotten crap for it.
He still would have gotten crap for it, but now I think all three of us here and probably the listeners of CVC will understand when we say, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff on both sides.
Oh, absolutely.
He just didn't contrast that properly with racism is awful.
Yeah.
So that's where he went wrong there.
A
yeah.
world of sound bites. The media likes to take
They
that
love
one
it,
thing and go and run with it. No
Yeah.
matter, I didn't actually hear a speech, so I don't know if there was contrasting beforehand or afterwards.
there
but they
wasn't. I
grabbed
watched
that. Fair
How many
enough.
speeches has he?
He's delivered 3.
3. Okay, so then I
So-
think I've only heard the first one.
So the first day, when he said all sides are bad stuff on all sides.
That is a terrible impression.
Yeah, that's what he sounds like to me, though. Oh,
In your head.
all sides. I guess everyone sounds. I'm not here for impressions. I'm here for
impression.
best impressions, huge impressions.
Great.
I sound like Jimmy Fallon doing an impression of
Yeah.
Donald Trump. That's
Yeah.
what that sounds like, which is awful. So the second speech, he comes out and names the names, neo-Nazis, white supremacist, whatever the other one is, Ku Klux Klan, whatever he had to say. So he goes out there and says all that, and you're like, okay, good. Of course, everyone comes in, it's too little too late. So
Right. Just,
everyone's got the same
even though he
voice.
made the first speech.
Yeah, he made that first speech. He
Right.
made that one. He's like, well, he finally said it. And then he comes back the next day in a press conference, and they challenge him on it. And he said, you know what? There were a lot of people doing a lot of bad things there on all sides. He just totally went back to his first statement.
Was that the
and they
one
were
where
just
at
having a
the end
field
of
day.
it, what's his name, Acosta says, why don't you stay and talk about this? You never addressed it. And he said, yeah, he's walking off and he says, I did address it. And he was like, well, can you answer questions about it? He said, I can't answer questions from you. I'm not going to answer questions from fake news.
Yeah.
Oh, fake news.
I saw one point where he looked out, he goes, yeah, you, question, fake news, you.
He does that all the time.
I love it. And, you know,
I don't like it just because he's such a man in power and the world is laughing at us.
The funny thing is that CNN then doubles down with that thing that happened today.
Yeah.
With was it Barcelona where the guy runs the van in and kills like 13 people.
Yeah.
And then they start saying that they're taking cues from the neo-Nazis. They're from the Nazis. It was like,
no.
CNN, you're not making your case.
True.
Yeah. They've been... Over there in Europe, man, they've been running vehicles into people
It's in the ISIS
for years.
manuals.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's obviously we've got very bad bias news. And
Ooh, buddy, yeah.
On both sides.
yeah,
On both sides,
On
yeah.
both sides.
On both sides.
Can anyone do a better Donald Trump
I
than me?
can't do a
No.
better Donald Trump. No.
So you have to stick with this horrible impression. But it's on all sides that we don't have good news. I don't know.
I
don't know what the
usually
answer is.
read BBC purely because anything that they say is going to be a little less
At least it's going to be
biased.
British.
Yeah, and I
Sorta.
get to hear a
But
British accent.
Even then, BBC is leaning.
still
is
leaning.
leaning pretty
Yeah, they're leaning
socialist. And there are people who are in England who are super mad about that because their taxes go to the BBC.
Yeah.
And I follow a few English YouTubers that have been talking about it, and they're super mad about like they have like a television permit they have to get or something.
Oh,
over
yeah.
there.
Yeah, you gotta pay for
And
those.
then
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
pushing like propaganda on the TV, and they're like, we didn't pay money for this. We don't want this. Please stop.
See, that's why I'm glad we don't have state-run media, because it would just be the puppet of whatever presidential administration is in.
Although I've seen people say that NPR is that for us. I don't know that I agree with it, but
And-
I've seen people
Yeah.
like post those arguments of it being a
They've
government
always leaned a little left, but I'll say this: they seem like they're trying.
They do.
not to do that.
They
But-
try to bring both sides of the coin, although they
Yeah.
usually do lean.
Well, just from the fact they're coming from the perspective of left. This isn't an insult; it's just where they are. They're coming from the perspective of the left. So the questions that they ask would only be asked by someone who's on the left. A
makes
person on
sense.
the right wouldn't think of saying that or asking that. So, yeah, there's a lot of that there.
But
I don't know.
I mean, it sucks that it got so out of hand to the point that somebody was killed.
Yeah,
And
it does.
however many people were injured. Like the police should have intervened way before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy with the Dodge Charger or Challenger or whatever it was, who ran into those people, like he was on the Nazi side, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
still don't know.
Do we still not know?
I don't know.
I thought I saw one thing where they said they saw his picture. They put his mugshot up beside someone on the line, but I
He
don't
certainly
know.
had the haircut.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen the picture of him.
So he had the
certainly
Nazi haircut.
but I don't know. Although I will say that, I don't want to say this, like the name, because it's going to get thrown out. But there's a joke that I don't know if it's real or not, but my friend and I have a joke called the Ann Coulter rule, where she made this idea that if it were a person who were of a left leaning, it would take a long time before anything came out about it. However, if it were conservative, the media would have jumped all over that instantly.
That does tend to happen.
Yeah.
And
That's why we call it Coulter's Law.
It's called Coulter's
That's
Law?
what we call it. I don't know if it is or not, but it's because she said it.
I mean, I try to stay. Well, I'm not saying I didn't pick a side. I've picked a side. I'm anti-racism. I'm anti-inhumanity. But I feel like everyone's trying to push us into a side,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then they only present two sides. Like, how? That's unfair.
And it doesn't help either that, Antifa, I mean, this is my own opinion. The neo-Nazis, or whatever they are, the racists have always been there. They're never going to go away, but you're never going to win more people to your cause if you are doing nothing but talking about how, white people are the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's just going to end up creating more of those people. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it escalated.
I mean, do you think we're going to have a civil war again?
It's going to be the most hipster of civil wars if it happens.
I mean,
I feel like our country is already divided.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that in the election. It was like 50-50. Like, you have your Democrats, you have your Republicans, you have a lot of people in the middle that have to lean one way or the other because we have no other option.
Right.
Yeah.
And everything is 50-50. And everyone just yells back and forth.
Right.
There's no debate. We don't know how to have a civil discussion.
No one understands nuance anymore.
No one understands debate.
This might be the most civil conversation on the internet.
I'm mad at the libertarians because all they talk about now is pot.
Yeah, I'm with
like,
you.
really? Are you kidding me? Like, that's the one reason I couldn't vote for Gary. Well, not the one reason I couldn't vote for Gary Johnson, but he opened his mouth, and I'm like, you're so stupid, dude.
Yeah. We don't have good candidates. We haven't had good candidates. And that's the thing. If I mean, I'm not going to ask anyone how they voted, but I've seen a lot of people on the news saying, well, you know, if you've mostly Facebook posts, not the news, if you voted for Donald Trump, like, how do you justify that in your Christianity? And I'm like,
It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah, he was, you know, as I said in South Park, you've got the choice between a douche and a turd.
You do.
And that's what we had. And, you know, they were like, well, we don't want a Clinton, and I guess we got to go with this guy. And it's not that they wanted him. It's not that they're happy about his job performance or his Twitter account.
Pill am I willing to swallow?
Yeah.
Even the Republicans weren't happy about it, but they got on board behind it.
Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. And I don't think it's what anybody wants. Which I don't think anything that comes out of Washington.
Because Republicans are historically bad at rallying behind things.
Well, they weren't happy about it. Even Ted Cruz was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I guess I'm in.
Even at the RNC, but he got booed pretty hard for not coming out and saying, okay.
I kind of respected him at that moment.
Too.
I was like, you stood your ground, man. Go for it.
Yeah, I think he would have been a worse president. But he might have acted more presidential.
Oh, he would have definitely acted more presidential.
Yeah. Which, isn't that just really the only thing that America wants? Is someone who's going to come in and act presidential for 4 years and give us some good jokes?
Well,
I do like jokes.
We've got the second half.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of memes.
Barack Obama, he was a classy dude. He wasn't really all that funny. George W. Bush.
Not until he started crying about gun control.
Oh, well.
That's when he got kind of funny.
But George W. Bush gave us 8 years of comedy gold.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That was some fun. And Bill Clinton gave us a lot, too.
We've got 4 years at least of some comedy here.
It's gonna be, but it's gonna be dark comedy. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I mean, but dark comedy is kind of. Is dark comedy racist now? Are we allowed to talk about
say that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna say that.
We gotta just say it and bleep it.
Well, guys, we have done it. We have eaten up 45 minutes.
Did we solve the world's problems?
I'm sure we did.
Okay.
I'm sure the whole world over will listen to this and say, you know what?
I was going to bring up the scripture as far as anti-racism. Galatians 3:28 that says
this is why we brought her so we can have
the good one.
We can have scripture.
There's neither Jew nor Greek, nor there's neither slave nor free. There's neither male nor female, for you're all one in Christ Jesus. And I feel like that's the stance we as Christians need to take on things. I mean, Paul says it. Jesus showed it in his actions when he went to the Samaritan woman, when he talked about the Samaritans in general. Like, he brought races together. Why are we still 2,000 and some odd years later separating ourselves against us versus them mentality? It's, we're supposed to be on an equal playing field.
Yeah, exactly. Now I feel like we should end in prayer. That's not gonna happen.
Prayed enough today.
Yeah.
I hit my quota.
Everybody, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.